Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special tactical tech briefing. This is part of Patrolfinder's special education series that's focused on policing philosophy, how to implement new technology that's going to complement your policing technology. We have two very different, is not quite as different as can be, but very different police departments that are utilizing Patrolfinder technology, and we're going to hear their stories. They got a lot to share. We had a dry run yesterday. I learned a lot. And so I'm just excited to have them share how they got to where they are today and how this technology is helping them to better serve their community. Because that's really what it's all about. The purpose behind Patrol Finder is to help, number one, keep police officers safe and also help them as they protect their communities. And in this day and age of needing every little angle you can get to increase efficiency and safety, am I correct, gentlemen? You'll take whatever tool you can get to kind of help you give you that edge. I just wanted to, for those of you in attendance, I want you to know that we do have a Q&A section here, and I'm monitoring it live. So if you have a specific question for either the chiefs or for both of them, you can just address who it is you want to ask, or if you want both, just say this is for both chiefs. If you want to make your own comment, you have something that's worked for you, or you want to just share some sort of insight as well, we really want you to be a part of it. So without further ado, I'm going to move on to my next slide. You guys see a slide here that says Tactical Tech Briefing, how technology complements my policing philosophy. You guys see that?
Yes.
All
I
right.
unfortunately do not.
You don't see it. Who
No.
sees it?
I see it.
Rich, you see it?
Yes.
Okay. And then you see the next slide has me welcoming everybody. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Ralph, it may be, by the way, both chiefs told me I could call them by their first name yesterday. I do not want you thinking I'm being disrespectful. I kept saying chiefs and they kept correcting me. So I worked on it overnight last night, just saying Rich and Ralph. So anyway, but Ralph, there's a setting there in terms of how you view things, and it'll let you either see speaker only or you can see a grid in there.
Go by.
Okay, so here are our panelists. So we have Chief Southworth Jr. He's with Schodack Police Department in upstate New York. And we have Richard Wilson, Rich, with Poughkeepsie Police Department. That's also upstate New York if you're in New York City, right? I mean, to us, you're downstate or mid Hudson, but we have this whole New York thing where anything north of the Bronx, for some, is upstate or Westchester. And you talked about yesterday, and hopefully you get into it a little bit, how you have some new officers who are from the NYPD, which is awesome. So I'd like to hear more about that as well. My name is Rick DeRico. I'm the Director of Public Relations at Transfinder. Transfinder is the developer, the creator of Patrolfinder. Transfinder has been in business for 38 years. We're based in Schenectady, New York, which was once home to GE. And our initial foray was in school transportation. We have 2,500 school districts in North America, including Canada, that rely on our technology for routing. Millions of students every day, 1 in 3 students gets on a bus that's routed with our technology. We have parent apps and we have driver apps, among other things, among other tools. And this product actually was created when a local police chief, he was actually going to be a police chief, was going to meet with all the business leaders in Schenectady and going door to door basically and asking, what can I do as a police chief to serve you and your business interests better? And my boss, Antonio Civitella, he's the only one, this is from the chief who told us this, to actually turn the question around on him and say, well, what can I do for you? And he said, actually, as a software and logistics company, um, I could really use technology to help know where my force is, to know where my patrols are. And that began I think it was a 7-year plus journey of working on this tool before it ever saw prime time. And because the police department is literally 2 blocks from Transfinder, we were there. Tony would walk over there. They had many, many, many meetings and feedback from officers and what they liked and what they didn't like. Was it too busy? Was it um, how to put important information on the map? All that kind of information. And then 2 years ago, we officially launched it after being um, field tested. So, anyway, that's a little bit of the backdrop. I want to let you guys know a little bit about the people who are in front of you. So, this is kind of a tale of two departments. They're about an hour and a half from each other. Poughkeepsie Police has 83 officers patrolling 4.5 square miles. They have 3 8-hour shifts. Schodack, who's led by a former detective in a city, Troy, home of Uncle Sam. So the story goes. Schodack has 12 officers, and it's completely reversed, right? 63 square miles that they're covering, and they have two 10-hour shifts with a gap of about 4 hours. And some, we have some, uh, uh, whatever. Sorry, guys. We have significant stories here about how this tool has worked for them. So I'm going to just start it off with Chief Southworth and just asking if you could tell me, and I'm going to see if I think Tony is trying to get in. So sorry, guys. Um, Attendee, I do not see him. I'm sorry, gents. I just want to uh, send Tony a link. All right. So, can you, Chief Southworth, share with me a little bit about a little bit about your career path, and then tell me about your department. We got a little bit there, but tell me a little bit more about your department.
Uh, yeah, like I said, currently with the Schodack. Oh, yeah, there's Tony. What's going on, Tony?
Hey,
Currently, Schodack Police Department. I've been a chief just over a year, about a year and a half. And prior to that, I worked for the City of Troy Police Department and retired as a detective sergeant with the SVU unit there. Good career, great city, great police department. But it wasn't when I retired from Troy, I knew I wasn't done yet. I wanted to come back to hometown. Schodack is my hometown. Moved back into town when I got the promotion down here, and it's been going good. Um, the positives I feel that I've been able to and blessed to bring to this agency in this town is this partnership that we're talking about right here with Patrolfinder. It really kind of has been very, very influential in our change and our momentum here. This department had a lot of issues after, post COVID, with it being a smaller agency, with retirements and with staffing issues regarding lack of the ability to recruit new officers. And we're on an upswing, and part of that is the mindset I think here, where we're trying to adapt a little bit more and bring a lot of more tech into this agency. It was always kind of behind a bit. So as we forge ahead, I'm finding that we're able to kind of retain officers and keep the momentum going. So no, it's been great here so far, and want to thank you guys, your team for helping us out with this tech and helping us actually grow and adapt. Over the past few months, you guys have actually brought new capabilities with your software, which have kind of been almost like tailor made to our needs here. So very beneficial, very appreciative.
Before I go to you, Rich, can I ask us real quickly, what would you say the biggest public safety challenge you have in your community?
Right here, this isn't a high crime town. We're a town of about 13,000 or so. It's a bedroom community. Um, Major state corridors and highways go through the town, but outside of that, it's pretty much a former farming community that has turned residential. And there's some commercial development going here. So right now, what we're having a lot of issues with are vehicle and traffic related concerns, speed concerns, and then obviously like domestic violence complaints, things of that nature. So not a lot of street level crime, but more intimate based crime, commuter type crimes.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Rich, tell me a little bit about yourself and as well as about your department.
Yeah, so I'm Rich Wilson with the City of Poughkeepsie Police Department. As you said, the department takes in about 120,000 phone calls. We're a backup 911 center for the county. We respond to 33,000 calls per service. Of that, 16,000 calls require an officer action within that 4.5 square miles. I am budgeted for 87. As we are completing the task we can with 83. Patrolfinder has been a great way for me to better manage the officers that I do have. As Chief Southworth had said, the recruitment issues were really across the scale of policing, so we had to find ways to do it better with the resources and staff that we do have. We've been successful with that. Originally, this was born out of a presentation that Antonio had made to me that I was present for. Knew I had to have this some way, shape, or form. Really, my initial decisions were based on safety, and that officers in the field actually be able to see a live map of where their backup was, responding to calls and different dynamics that are occurring in the field. And we've just run with it in several different directions. It is so beneficial up and down the product. And I'm sure throughout the webinar, we'll get into, what some of those advantages are.
Share the backstory a little bit because you said after an incident happened, you were like, I got to get this. So can you share a little bit about that intent? That was an intense story.
Yeah, I've been chief for about 2 years. I took over in May of 2024. In December of 24, we had a gun call, a man with a gun call. I had an officer that was literally at the end of the street that it came in on, the location. So he had pulled up and began his approach, what have you, to confront the individual, originally alone, and then he would be joined by several officers in subsequent backup time frame. I had wished, after reviewing that call and after the circumstances had played out, that he had known where his backup was. I think it would have given him a minute or two pause that would have really availed themselves of a stronger tactical presence rather than just going in on it alone. That confrontation ended up with the exchange of gunfire with the adversary, if you will. But I wish we had had the technology at that time, and that was the catalyst for me to go all in on the product.
Great. And Chief Southworth, you said that your department is small. You kind of didn't think you necessarily needed something, but you said hey, I'll take a call, right? So your story is a little bit, less intense, but you're glad you took the call.
Yeah, no, your team had, I think, was reaching out to a lot of the agencies up here, and I remember getting a phone call and initially thinking it probably wouldn't be something that would be beneficial to us here or worth the investment, depending on what the investment was. I kind of akin it to more of a knowing Schenectady and hearing that Schenectady was a big part of the program and its development. I was familiar with Schenectady and the type of policing environment from my experience at Troy. So I akin it to being more of a hotspot policing type of tool. And like, as we previously discussed, this isn't exactly a hotspot policing type of area. It's very rural and suburban. So so we didn't have those kinds of issues that I thought it would be more best suited for. And but after kind of having a deeper conversation with you guys and thinking about possibilities, I thought, okay, well, it might be worthwhile. And I also felt that the investment was worth it as well. I didn't find it financially burdensome on our budget to explore this. And I'm happy I did. So.
Tony, I want to turn it over to you. You have a unique perspective because you had many interactions with both of these chiefs. And I remember every time I see Tony in the hallway, the excitement, this is my new best friend, how excited to hear both of your very innovative ways of using the technology. So Tony, why don't you just jump in, give us your impression of how Patrolfinder has definitely helped make these two departments more efficient. But anything else you want to add as we get
Well,
deeper in?
it always starts with leadership. That's something that I always talk about. A product like ours, definitely, you want to make sure that your team has the total buy-in. And so those are the things that we talk about. How is your team going to have a buy-in in our product? Because people are getting hired every single day. They're going to say, I know what to do. I know where to patrol. I don't need a product to tell me places that I need to go more often, or maybe there's places I go too many times. And so that's always been an argument. So the leadership has to do a job of, hey, we're going to get this product. It's going to help our patrol management. And then all the magic starts happening. And really, our superpower here at the company is to identify areas and help people like Chief Southworth and Chief Wilson to say, all right, what are the areas we want to focus? And I know working directly with these gentlemen during implementation and really look at giving a before and after picture is like Chief Southworth is much smaller, but geographically it's a big area compared to Poughkeepsie. So they're different. So we have to take it. We have to also take a different approach to say, hey, it's not one size fits all. We customize and we cater our solution to their needs. I mean, you're looking at Poughkeepsie, there was areas that it's got to be, he wanted to make sure there's certain areas where it's hot, they're the hot calls. You got to get there within so many hours or so many days because this is an area that I want to just really give it a lot more dosage, a lot more attention. And those are the things that makes a major difference. And I know Rich will talk about his experience and his results, which were fantastic. Those are a big one. And of course, you got to communicate with your leadership, right? Whether it's a town, a city. So that's important. But I know with Ralph, I mean, I just learned not that long ago, actually just yesterday, but that you don't have any roll calls. Your team doesn't have a way to, so majority of the police departments that I either presented solution or became clients, they all have roll call. And a roll call is one way for the leadership to communicate, right? There's so many different things. By the way, I hear it called lineup. And Rick, I always think of a lineup as a bunch of people that I'm gonna pick out of a lineup. That's all I've always thought, but it's considered also a lineup, a roll call, and those type of things, right? So a roll call is the opportunity to really tell your officers what just happened or your previous shift. And it's
Very good.
continuously. And so not to have a roll call is intense. How do you communicate? And obviously, now our product has become the way to communicate across the board. And a roll call happens 3 times a day if you have 3 shifts. Well, guess what? With our product, it's communicating nonstop. So we don't have a designated time of the day we're going to share information. They're sharing data all the time. And that's really where the superpower comes in from our side. And it is getting better. There's just so much more that from just these 2 guys and everyone else across the country have given us so much great feedback, and we're motivated to make it even better. So yeah,
Awesome.
I can't stop talking about it. Not just
That's awesome.
not just these 2 guys and their teams, but really we have very enthusiastic clients, and obviously it's because they're seeing the benefit.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. And obviously, this is a conversation here, so everybody jump in. Feel free to share. Don't wait till the end. I always tell people, don't wait till the end or wait for that perfect segue, because I'm not that guy. I'm not that good. So just if you say something comes across your mind and you really want to get it out, get it out. I wanted to kind of just start off with, Chief Wilson, if you could just share, and both of you, I'm going to start with Chief Wilson, what you were hoping to solve, what issues, what problems you were hoping to solve with Patrolfinder. What were your expectations? And then, share your story and how
Well, listen, the product is tremendously multidimensional, right? If it works for our agency and the call volume, the small area that we have, and it works for Chief Southworth in a huge area, right? Huge is to us 63 miles, right, with 11 officers. But so I had issues over the years of our economically stable area of the city complaining that maybe they weren't getting the kind of coverage they were, right? So when we did, I think, up to a 40-day blind trial to see where our officers actually were patrolling as just habit, or what, their 8 hours looked and the 24 hours looked, that once we went live and compared the data, like, we increased our patrol in some of the areas that allegedly got all the patrols or didn't get all the patrols. It was across the board coverage. It was amazing. My original intent being on an evidence-based model regarding gun-involved violence elimination in hotspot areas that kind of been touched on earlier in here, right? So we drew those geographical areas, but we didn't want people to feel that they weren't getting the services of this police department because we were completely focused in there. So we can factually represent where we are patrolling, how much time we're spending there. And it's not blind, right? Random policing leads to random results. And this, on the patrol management side, allows us to put resources where we need them in the unassigned, unaccounted for time in patrolling, which can't be lost, right? We can't get that back. So if we can effectively and efficiently manage that, we're going to have statistically better results.
That's great.
Hey,
That's awesome.
to give you some statistics about your improvement. So that's how we implement our software, is that we run a month and a half of just do your job normal. Our system is capturing data, and we go from there. And then we have a meeting to say, all right, what are some of the goals? And of course, some of your zones, Chief, you chose to be, hey, I got to be there more often. And so we turned up to 24 hours. But based on what the departments, I mean, again, they all knew we were doing this, but after a week or two changes, right, you forget that the data is being captured. And these guys went from a decent amount for certain zones, a decent amount. Again, I'm looking at some data from you about, in one day, it was about 65%. They would take about 65% of that particular zone was being covered. And by the way, that's not bad. But his goal is it's got to get to near 100. And we got to 100%. Think about it. From 65% of the zone, on average, it was getting covered. And remember, there's a lot going on. There's calls that officers are being, diverted. So it is hard to get 100%. But you go from 65% to 100% within a month and a half after you start implementing. That's the type of success. And Chief, I think you brought it up. Chief Wilson, you brought up when I first met you, actually not when I was presenting you data. Did you say something that clearly certain zones, you got to give them more attention, and in certain zones, people are telling you, yeah, you spend more you spend more time over there, and it's hard to quantify. I proved to you that you're not spending as much time as everyone was saying, because
Right.
you definitely have areas that you have to spend more time. But there was some things about how do you prove to the public or to the community that you really are giving the attention where it belongs. But there were some places like, yeah, you're going on there because, they're bigger taxpayers or whatever. And it could have been, by the way, Chief, it could have been you spent more time, but data proved, no, you weren't. You were giving it the right amount. And now with what we're doing, you went across the board. Every single zone has significantly more coverage.
Chief, did you use that data to show the public that what Tony just said?
I did. I did 2 different presentations on it. It was just tremendously received. I further had buy-in from supervisors, right, from the department members, and as I had said earlier, in earlier discussions with your staff, I've hired 46 people since 2018. They're very technology savvy, and it was my belief that if I got them the tools of technology, that they would use them. I have shift commanders that have changed or customized what their expectations are in certain areas, from the 12 hours that we've used as certain benchmarks of patrols down to 6 hours. Some of them have them, they want certain areas of 4 hours, right? So give them the tools. They're going to use them. Once they understand them, they can customize them, and they're better managing their 8 hour shifts and their staff.
That's great.
That
Chief
is really
Southworth, can you
amazing.
tell me a little bit
Really.
about the issues that you were hoping Patrolfinder would solve for you, and then tell me your Patrolfinder story, at least part of it?
I think the one of the biggest concerns I had was when we had taken on 3 people on field training, and they were out with training officers. And as I explained, we had some issues with retention here about 5 years ago. So a lot of our staff is like 5 years or less experience. So really kind of trying to get supervision levels to meet the needs of that type of staffing was my biggest issue when I was coming here. And one of the issues was I was taking people coming out was just going into a very well-known neighborhood in the center of town that wasn't on the outskirts of town or anything, and riding with a new person who was like, wow, I've never been in here before. And I was thinking to myself, like, you've been in field training a while. Like, the fact that you haven't seen this neighborhood is impressive to me. And this was right around the time when we were in talks with the program regarding this program. And I always knew there was an issue with visibility, again, because of the size of the town. The fact that most days we only have 2 people on per shift. You know, you get a call, a lot of calls are 2 officer calls at a minimum. So you're really kind of stretched thin with like trying to get out there and proactively patrol. So I knew there was some visibility concerns. I knew we weren't the reach wasn't there, and I knew there was parts of the community that were not seeing presence. And I wanted to handle that. Another issue we always had was again, this is like a corridor town. A lot of people are going through town to get to major routes, and rushing to work, rushing home from work, what have you. So there's a lot of speed concerns in residential neighborhoods. That's one thing I've habitually received since taking on this position. It is a routine complaint. So how am I going to combat those issues as aside, from just putting somebody out arbitrarily in a location? So I started to do speed studies to verify concerns, make sure it wasn't a perception-based issue. And in areas where the concerns were verified, I've been using this software, or we kind of developed a way to use this software with the attention point feature to make it like an area where an officer has to go to do speed enforcement. So all of that, the software itself has really kind of been as very, very much so increased our presence, our visibility. At this point right now, we're hitting every roadway in town at least once within 80 hours. That's every street, every roadway. Before, I'm pretty sure we were going on months, and areas of town weren't seeing it.
Wow.
And also, we're verifying these speed complaint concerns, and they're all over the map, and officers are sitting there 20, 30 minutes at a rip. Enforcement's going up, so it's been beneficial. So the tangible aspect, with the data, we really haven't had a chance to dig into that yet. But I can tell you that the public perception, everyone up to the town supervisor is expressing the fact that we are a more visible police force now, and we're much more active in their eyes, and that's very much worth the effort we put into implementing the software.
I mean, you actually got really directly and indirectly notified that they're seeing more cars out there, right?
Yeah. So I kind of keep my finger on the pulse of community message boards on Facebook and stuff like that. And you just see with the comments, wow, what's going on here? We're not used to seeing police cars. And well, you're gonna now, at least once every 80 hours. So which I think is a very reasonable and attainable presence for a town of this size with the staffing that we have.
I always think like it's not totally fair to police to say like we never see a police officer. I know in my community, the one moment when the police may be driving down my street, I may have just gone to the garage for a second to get a tool. And then it's like it's so random, you know what I mean? So to be able to have something, we have another department where two things happen. One is people started asking, "Did you guys hire more people?" And he goes, "No, we haven't hired more people." And then there was a councilwoman who had gotten a complaint from a community member, said you never come by my street, and he was able to show her that they were down her street every 100 and I believe the number was, he knew it right off the bat, but it was like every 132 minutes we're going down your street. I'm like, you can't, it's kind of hard to argue when you have that type of precision. I have a question here asking about your, you know, I know you guys have changed as departments. You've just gotten better, but at the individual level, the officer, are you seeing a change in how they approach their own job? Do they feel like more ownership? Do they feel like they don't have to wait for a dispatch? Can they be a little more, maybe not the greatest word, but like entrepreneurial in their own beats?
Well, inherently, when you log into the software, it kind of gives you a to-do list, right? So in the absence of like a call for service or something where you're actively heading to, it gives you an objective, it gives you a mission. So they'll log in, they'll see it's simple. It's go to the red dot, go to the large blue dot, like um, you know, they know where to go, they know where others haven't been inherently by just looking at the map. And also the CAD integration that we recently just implemented is outstanding too. So we touched briefly on the lack of a lineup or a roll call here. With an agency of this size, it's just not something that's realistic. So to make sure that we're getting information out to our officers right at their fingertips in the car. Is exceptional with this software because aside from having a sit down with everybody at the end of that shift change, which is hard here because you could have cars that are the two guys on the road that are on a late call that don't see the other cars that are going out for the next shift. This eliminates that need. Every call that shows or that we've responded to shows up on the map and it's tangible that they can see all the call notes. And it plays very well with our CAD and our records management system that we have that we're working with right now. Everything flows pretty well together. It's seamless, and the information sharing is much better than it used to be.
I think there's
Right.
I think there's three benefits to that, right? So for the start, the officers can see where each other is, currently, call for service, I'm close to back up, or with the CAD integration, when it pops on the screen that there's a call in the area that they're at, it helps develop the teamwork that I'm going to grab that call. I'm right here. Others see that, right? It builds that team, everybody looking out for each other when these calls are popping, and I'm in that neighborhood, I'm in that area. So our main street kind of cuts through all four of our geographical areas, if you will. So it brings that team spirit of people traveling through that corridor, getting in to help manage. But the other thing is, and like Chief Southworth has said, when you're hitting those dots, if you will, it provides the opportunity where we were maybe randomly checking those neighborhoods in random times and over maybe days, that now when they're in those neighborhoods, it's a huge community policing builder that people are seeing you. You're able to do that wave. You're able to do that stop and maybe have a chat with someone that you can't quantify that, but that's building huge community relations that they're now seeing. They're not forgotten about, and their officers, are in their neighborhood and giving them a look.
That's
What
great.
did you? But you said it even yesterday. You talked about how one of your takeaway was also about clearly you guys are now a lot more proactive. But typically, what I've learned is that you have your men and women ready to take the 911 call, right? You're ready to go. Get out there and you're almost like a firefighting mentality that's saying, all right, we're ready. Come on, let's get this 911 call out there, and we're going to get there and solve and do what we need to do. the shift and what our product really helps everyone start identifying these hot spots. And again, maybe not for you too much, Ralph, because it's based on your area, but more of a as you get more of an urban, there's definitely hot spots. So let's identify those. Let's be proactive. Let's just go there before they become a major issue. Let's get out there. And those are the things that I think I've learned from everybody that I've been working with is that you're now changing to be more proactive. And it sounds crazy, right? Because as a firefighter, you're reacting to a call. Can you be proactive? And I'm sure there's multiple ways you can to educate the public and so forth. But in policing, pretty common. So now all of a sudden, even like you just said, they see each other. Cars see each other, but they also see where someone has not been going. And that's really the trigger, right? Go there. Go. We highlight these gaps. We highlight the coverage average areas that need to be covered. And that's it. And I think every time I explain, I'm trying to, Rick, they could be proud of me. My whole goal is to be at least a fifth grade level. Can I explain the product fifth grade level? It's like, well, and I think you guys know this, right? If you see a cop car down your street, the odds are you're not going to do silly things. If you see a car parked in an intersection and the light turns yellow, you're probably not going to floor it. And that's really it. This is the type of street level crime that, gets people upset, feel good about in the area. And you're saying, where's the cops at? Where's the police when you need one, right? It's that kind of thing. And I'm so proud of these two gentlemen and what they've done with their police department. But the amount of data that is available to these guys, I'm super pumped how much they're able to pull out. And some of you guys are starting to go even beyond what we were thinking about.
Well, I want to go there actually,
Right?
Tony. That's a perfect segue. But why don't we just go there? And then I want to come back later about your leadership. And maybe you had some people that were a little bit weary of we hear the big brother thing a lot. So we'll go to that. But let's just stick with Tony's theme here. You guys are both very innovative. I know Chief Southworth, you've only had it since the fall, correct? And I think Chief Wilson, you've had it a little bit longer. But it seems like just from talking to you both, you're already thinking like, what more can I do with this? So could either one of you or both of you share with me, like, here's where I'm going to go now. Like, here's some opportunity I have. I know we didn't really talk about that yesterday, but I'm going to just throw it out there. You probably have some things maybe in mind of what you would like to do with that technology and the information you're capturing.
I don't know if I don't know if I have any. I don't know if I have any new ideas to kind of bring to your team at this point. I can tell you though, working with your staff though, that when I've had ideas that have come up to help address some issues, you guys have been very responsive, have gotten right back, and a lot of the data, the reports, the analytics parts of the software to kind of monitor individual activity has been helpful when going to supervisors to say, hey, I've noticed that there's some lack of effort or maybe increased idling by certain members at certain times, and we'll try to break the habits, right? To keep people moving, keep people involved. Right now, I don't know how else I'd use the software, but I can say the experience has been benefiting. When I have an idea, usually it works out pretty well. So
That's great. Well, the Transfinder as a whole, we say it all the time, how much better we are because of our clients, because they're the feet on the ground, the boots on the ground. And so they say, I wish I could do this. That's never like ignored. I can tell you that. Um, Before I go to you, Rich, I'm just going to share a couple quick things that I've heard from other chiefs. One is using it for parking enforcement. So he's literally making that part of the rounds with their parking division to make sure, like if it's every 45 minutes, that they're going over and they're covering. I thought that was unique. Another department's using it to put certain extra patrols for a judge if there was like a maybe an unhappy verdict that they literally put on the map, like extra patrols, or there's a visiting dignitary that could be a potential target. They started, so that's like starting to, and that's just kind of skimming the surface of just some, bigger, approaches to it. Rich, I stalled enough there. Anything you can think of? Anything else that you
Oh,
want to
you
do?
listen, but that's what I've been touting to other colleagues in the field of how customizable it is, right? So we all have unique challenges and expectations of our communities, and when you can tailor one product towards your own needs and benefits, right? That's how you're getting everything out of it. We brought back, lots of ideas, right? The real traffic now is the traffic overlay is huge. We have it. We have a 3-year bridge project going over over the Hudson River, over the Mid Hudson Bridge, that we can see. So the screen runs live in my office. It runs live in the captain's office. I have it running on 3 screens in my public safety dispatch center. So we can see the real time traffic, if you will. And then we had spoken since the beginning about dosage. We wanted to know how much time we were actually spending on the Main Street corridor. Not that we were just touching the point and moving, but that we're actually, so that's the growth of the product, right? What would I like to see? We spoke about this too, and I'm sure it's going to come in one shape or form, but I do have street cameras that it would be nice to be able to point and click and immediately get that up there, right? So I'm managing that with a couple of different screens. I have the live screen of Patrolfinder next to, I have about somewhere of access to 100 cameras or more, right? So I have those scrolling. So it would be nice as the CAT integration comes up, it pops on the Patrolfinder screen, that those icons would be there for the cameras. It can quickly click on those to see what's happening in the field, where those cameras are. And it's only going to grow, right? The growth of cameras from both private and public sector access to those cameras, and the growth of the product is just, I know it's coming, and it's just huge. And again, we just keep growing with the product as well.
Hey, Chief, you just triggered something, and you were talking yesterday. You said like over your head right now you have a massive screen, correct? You have
Yes.
Patrol Finder up there, and
Yep.
you have something else. What else do you have on that screen?
I have actually CAD screen running for calls for service, and I have a sequence of street cameras that run as well.
And you recently mentioned like you had some federal law enforcement folks, right, that came in there and you talked about a grant that might be there. To share a little bit about, because that's what you made me just think about. They could see that obviously you were a very forward thinking chief.
Yeah, so we actually funded the initial stages of this under our gun-involved violence elimination grant, and we did that so on the evidence-based side that our hot spots were getting the attention that the state really required as part of it, and demonstration that we're doing that. I think the state is overwhelmed with the success that we've had with it and are allowing additional funding to other agencies. I have to be honest with you, I believe the state's going to continue to expand that. I think they really like the product and how I'm explaining we're using it, and others in the field that are using it are explaining it. So yeah, it's tremendous. It's tremendous. So we actually had a visitor from one of the colleges, one of the SUNY state colleges, and he was like, "Wow, what is that?" I explained, the attention points, the patrol points, the hot spots, the dosage. It was just for everything I could fit in a short conversation. I know his interest is very much piqued.
And then you said there might be some potential federal funding.
The federal government is releasing some $700 million nationwide, and I believe I was just looking at the essay is like $153 million tech component to that. So there looks like there is some funding sources towards that, but I have to be honest with you, Chief Southworth said before, for what it costs, it's easily quantifiable. It really is.
Yeah. And don't wait. Tony's always like, well, don't wait for the funding. Just get it. Right, Tony?
Use the funding for something else, right? doesn't mean you're gonna buy more things. So just use the funding for something else. And
So
right?
tell me about the lead. Like, did you get pushback at all in your departments when you first talked about Patrolfinder? And since you have it, you obviously overcame the pushback. Tell me a little bit about what you dealt with and how you were successful in getting the team on board.
So I'll jump in quick on that. We've never had GPS locators. We've had them running in the background, but we never had it live on a screen anywhere. We never extracted the data. We never, used it as any kind of tool of discipline. It just right. We wanted our buy-in from our staff that that's not how we did. But when we explain the safety of it, when we explain the teamwork side of it, when we explain all the benefits out of it, that it wasn't going to be used as a tool for that, it was going to be used as a tool to make your job easier, more manageable, and what our expectations were of you of the 8 hours. We had buy-in, and really we were able to overcome that. Look, we've been running it for a year now. We haven't used it, just as we said. We demonstrated, our leadership and exactly the trust they had in us that we wouldn't. And the buy-in continues, and we've had no pushback.
How about you, Chief Southworth?
Aside from the initial, oh, another new thing, we all love change, right? We all love new things, learning the new things. But the benefit of this is that there's really not a lot to learn. There's not a lot of officer level interaction. It's a tool that is minimalist, that is effective, and that it enhances their ability to react to real-time situations, go to places that they know that people haven't gone. There is buy-in. I've had really no pushback. We had GPS tools here before, so we could track movement. We had it as part of our CAD system, but this is just different. And with the CAD integration, there's really not a lot of a need for them to utilize the other softwares we have, because it's using the most important parts of everything in one place. So the way we have it, it's easy to log in, it's easy to log out, and it really is kind of like a set it and forget it type of thing, where you interact with it when you need to interact with it, or when you want to interact with it. That's about it. It's the minimalist aspect. Less is more is where this is at. So
That's great.
but we're using it for a lot of aspects for the things that I felt like I had to nag people about. I don't have to do anymore.
Give me a for instance.
I'm nagging.
Yeah.
So just the constant, you get speed complaints and, death by email, like, I need you guys to go here. I need you to do this, for lack of lineups and formal structure in that aspect. It's there. They know what they have to do by logging in. And they're going to make one of two choices. They're going to do what they know they need to do, or they're going to choose not to do what they need to do. And that's when you have it, the evidence is right there when you log in. So I know what people have and haven't done, and what are the reasons. I can just look to see how busy we're there. And usually they were just too busy, and but no, that's another thing I should mention. If you're for smaller agencies, with we don't have supervisors on every shift. We are not structured or capable to be doing that. So this is like another supervisory tool. Guys, again, know what they need to do and where they need to go just by logging in. So.
And
great.
you
Well,
can't remember
that-
everything, right? There's no way you can remember everything and all the emails, or everything during your lineup or your roll calls. There's just no way you can remember everything. There's just so much goes on day in, day out. And then of course I might be off by a day. There's just so much information. It's just impossible.
Well, you've got a officer safety bulletins. I can upload those things.
Yeah.
There's a notification setting where they know they have to click on it. They get their bulletin there. Attention points for property or vacation watches. People will reach out to the police department and request property watches or vacation watches of their properties, or any specific problems that they're experiencing. There's a form that they fill out. We put the data into a Patrolfinder. The form is then embedded into Patrolfinder. The officers can actually see it. It's visible. The speed enforcement zones, the patrol points in and of themselves, like everything is in one spot. and I don't have to send 1,000 emails. It all auto populates right when they go in, and they know what they have to, and I can tell
Beautiful.
when they access
That's
it as
right.
well. So
Chief Wilson, Chief Southworth, and you guys have set me up almost like this is not scripted, everybody. But you used the word supervisory, and I want to talk a little bit about how you guys have maybe changed, gotten even better in your role as supervisors as a result of this tool. And Chief Wilson, you were talking yesterday, I believe, and I'm just going to kind of say enough to hopefully trigger your memory before I butcher it. But wasn't there, like, in your previous role, you had a certain role in terms of supervisory, and you could see how things were being done using Patrolfinder with another person, and you go, that's not quite how I would have done it, but it was helpful for you in terms of managing that person. That was, am I giving you enough information that what we talked about yesterday?
Yeah, look at
Yesterday, what was?
so there's a few things in it, right? So we do have two supervisors pretty much per shift, not counting time off, and supervisors are typically senior leadership, so they have time to take off. But when I have one supervisor who can't be in the field managing this, he's able to manage where the people are, right? So we know that we don't have that idle time, or if there is idle time, right, it can be better managed by our people who are in the field. But take that away, the people are managing each other. They want to see that their colleagues and their team, members are engaging and doing what they're supposed to do, and it almost kind of self supervises, the members of the shift and how they're carrying out their 8 hours.
And wasn't there a scenario there where it's like, that's not how I would have necessarily handled it? What was your previous role before you became chief?
I was operations captain for about
Operations captain. You were talking about another operations captain that was managing something, and does it sound familiar at all?
it's not.
All right, I will move on. So, in general, do you feel like your officers also, I mean, we talked about, the adoption curve, but are they actually feeling safer as well? Do you think that as they're helping to make your community safer, you started off right off the bat, Chief Wilson, with that, the shooting. Are your officers feeling safer with this technology? Number one, we're knowing where each other are, but also by having all that information on the screen so that they are not going into something blind, or that they maybe heard something in roll call, but they're not going to, like Tony mentioned, I'm not going to remember that. Do you feel like they feel safer with this technology?
Yeah, so look at I touched on 46 officers in the last 8 years, right? And they grew up technology. They probably grew up with something on their phones that the way they grew up, their family members knew where each other were or what have you, right? That's all a little bit of safety to all of us. I know when my kids went off to college, I knew where their phones were, right? They were 4 hours away, but I at least had a handle on where they are. We have police officers expected to carry out the roles of public safety, and they know where their backup is. They know that their supervisors and their public safety dispatchers know where they are. There is an absolute degree of safety there. Yes.
Right. How about you, Chief Southworth?
yeah, I don't think I've had anybody directly tell me that they feel safer because of the product, but I mean, just the situational awareness alone. Um, Again, because you would have to go through several tabs in our CAD to find a location and to know where that location is. And most of the staff here keep Patrolfinder on the screen for the most part of their tour. So yeah, well, again, I've got two brand new officers that work nights on the weekends by themselves. There's no supervisor, and I can tell you that I've heard directly from them that they, not only do they communicate directly with each other when they're trying to be proactive, like, hey, I'm going to be out here running radar, or doing this, that they're using the software to make sure they know where each other is. So,
Right.
um,
Chief Wilson, you mentioned, you have these new officers from New York City. I'm assuming that they're not super familiar with the streets of Poughkeepsie. So is this also a recruiting tool? Could it be useful for, you haven't, was there in the past, I think Chief Ralph Southworth, you mentioned when I interviewed you a while back, you got your recruits, they were local recruits. They were people that already knew your town. Is Patrol Finder like a recruiting tool as well? You don't have to know every street. like you said earlier, set it and forget it. It's telling you where to go. Is that useful for those new officers that are new to the area?
Yeah, it's huge. I think and I explained yesterday when we were talking about this, that in the field training aspect, if someone from New York City, a transfer that does not know our streets, in 90 days, they'll start to pick up right where the streets are. But do they start to pick up habits? Do our regular patrols pick up habits where they're taking the same routes again in that unassigned time of just randomly patrolling their geographic areas? Where now we have the attention points, the patrol points, the places we want to touch, the places we want to be visible. It's huge. So yeah, when they come out, when they transfer over, immediately they can get an idea of where they need to be, and then that starts to trigger familiarity with different neighborhoods and different patrol areas. I mean, it does. It takes it right out of the equation. And yeah,
Right.
huge recruiting because of that, because it's one less piece of anxiety of changing from one department to another.
Very good. Chief Southworth?
Uh, I would almost call it like a training aid as well, because uh this is, like I said, this is a large town. If you're going lights and sirens in this town and you're in one corner of the town and you're going to the other, it's about 20 minutes, lights and sirens. So it's an expansive town. And I grew up on the west side of town, and the east side of town might as well have been a different country. I knew very little about it, to be honest with you. And when we implemented the software during the initial go live, I had multiple people tell me, like, yeah, there's parts of town that I'm seeing now that I really didn't even know existed. So that just speaks to, again, the level of deep patrol into certain areas that was being done prior. And the fact that this is very influential in that reach, and the education of the officers, just the situational awareness, knowing where they're going, there's going to be less unknowns now, so
Great.
training
Great.
and situational awareness benefit 100%.
Very good. Well, we're coming to the end. I'm going to ask Chief Wilson to give one. So for people who are watching, people who are going to watch on our when we put it up on YouTube, um, and which you can find, by the way, if you go to patrolfinder.com, and you'll see the YouTube icon there, and all of our videos are there. One takeaway that you want, like somebody who watches, if you're going to go back and either talk to your town supervisor or some other decision maker, one thing that you want them to know. Then Chief Southworth, Tony, close us out after that. Chief Wilson.
Yeah, look, it's just so much more effective and efficient use of staff. Again, in that unassigned, unaccounted for time. That's where we have become just so unproductive in that time. And when we can have better production there, we just can be much better than we have been in the past.
Awesome. Thank you. Chief Southworth.
No, we're definitely a better police department, providing a better service at this point. I think the software is a big part of that. Um, you know, Small town PD type problems. It's impactful. It helps address those, the supervision issues, the intimate, the personal complaints people have. We're able to address those better regarding speeds and property watches. It's proven that we're more present. People are feeling that presence. And the officer safety aspects of it, the information sharing aspects of it, the supervisory aspects of it, those considerations for small agencies. This is a highly tailorable, for lack of a better term, tool that you could find a way to solve a lot of your own problems as an agency.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you both. Tony, close us out.
Well, I want to just say how grateful I am to have met amazing people throughout the country, how passionate they are, how they risk their lives every single day for me and for my family and everybody. So I just want to make sure everybody knows how thankful and grateful I am to have people like yourselves in the community. And we talked about features, functionality, but it's always down to human beings, and that's always been how do you get a better adoption. but it's really a simple concept. And again, I always try to go right down to as simple as possible, not use big terms. You cannot improve what you cannot see. You can't. So if you don't have the data, I'm a data person. I love data. If you don't have data, you can't make it better. And that's really data has to be the key no matter what you use. Obviously, we love everyone to use Patrolfinder, but if you have data, analyze it. That's how you can make improvement. Data speaks very loud, and lack of data, believe it or not, also speaks really loud. So my recommendation out there, obviously, love for all of you to use our product. Meanwhile, look at your data. You can't improve something if you don't have that data. So highly recommend get in there, dig it, dump things into Excel spreadsheet. I know you shouldn't be using AI against that data. Maybe you could scrub some people's name and all that, but get going on that because that's how you can improve. So that's
Thank you. Great takeaway, Tony.
right.
Thank you so much, Chiefs, for your time. I know you guys are very busy. So just thank you. Thank you for all of our attendees and hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.